All right, what's up, guys? Now, you guys know if you've been watching any of my videos, you'll see that I don't normally comment on stuff outside of politics, and I kind of would like to. I do make the odd statement on football, mostly LSU and stuff. So uh, I thought I'd bring up this and talk about the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. Uh, there's a lot of news organizations that cover this, and for the most part, it's because of what happened with the whole kneeling thing. And right or wrong, like they got on that bandwagon, and they never got off. So that's why they end up commenting on it, and it just it's a bunch of people who don't talk football, don't know anything about these people, don't know anything about them on the field, but it draws ratings. So that's why they end up talking about it. But anyway, maybe in the future I'll talk a little bit more about football. I enjoy it. It's one of those things that when I'm not talking politics, that's what I like to talk about. Uh, Football is my favorite sport. I'm a big LSU, big Saints fan. I enjoy watching a few other teams. I'm an unfortunate Redskins fan as well, and they are just it ain't good. They're going on the worst record possible. As you can see up top here, Miami is 2-8, and they were intentionally trying to lose, and somehow Washington is even worse than that. So we didn't fight to the bottom for that. Anyway, I'm gonna make I guess, a short video on my thoughts on the whole Colin Kaepernick situation. As you don't know, after 3 years of complaining, after the whole kneeling situation, if you don't know the kneeling situation, you kneel for the national anthem for protesting for just police brutality against black people in general. That was the whole situation, and then he ended up getting cut because of that. Well, they say because of that, but he was playing pretty terrible at the time. I think he went 1-10 in his last season, and the year before that was just as bad. His numbers dropped off a cliff once he got out of, or once he got out of his first 2 seasons. As a lot of times, it's what happens with quarterbacks. They first season or two, they're great. A good example of that is Baker Mayfield. He's a great quarterback, and I think he'll be a quarterback going in the future. But obviously, his first year comes out, and he's just throwing dimes. He's got a different game from coming from college that a lot of the NFL didn't see. But once the numbers and the scouts are shown, or the scouts see how he plays, they can make adjustments. And second season, he's struggling. They're putting a lot more pressure in his face, obviously, because the O line isn't as good. They're in Cleveland as they were last year. They had cuts they had to make. They had somebody retire, things like that, injuries. But that just shows an example. Anyway, all that to say, Colin Kaepernick's numbers dropped off. He got cut. Blah blah blah. They blame the kneeling, and then they say he got blackballed, which is a very likely thing that did happen. He tried to sue the NFL for it. I don't know if you can, if that is even something you can sue for. I mean, you're a distraction to your team, whether you like it or not. The majority of NFL fans don't like the kneeling. They don't like kneeling for the national anthem. It's a very patriotic sport. It's the United States, one of the most patriotic countries in the world. Whether you agree or not, whether you agree with how someone should protest, it's just the way it is. You can, and it was effective because of that. Because people don't like the protest, it's effective. But don't be surprised when how effective it is gets kicked off the team. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I think he ended up better for it. And that's going to lead to my point of why he skipped this workout, because Colin Kaepernick doesn't want to come back to the NFL. He's making a good living. He was signed by Nike. He still has a deal with Nike. There was the whole commercial he had where it was his face in black and white and with these epic quotes and stuff. He doesn't need the money. He's got the money. This is all a publicity stunt, and it was pretty obvious by it when the NFL brings you to the Atlanta Falcons' newest facilities. I lived in Atlanta when they were building all this. It's all brand new. They bring in all of the teams. I think they ended up having 25 teams out of the 32 teams. They had cameras there that they promised to give them footage, raw footage, so they can make their own documentary and they can make statements of it. They provided everything for them. They even let Colin Kaepernick choose his own receivers to bring. Everything. The man was laid out the red carpet, and regardless of what you think, how they were gonna frame how he did at the workout, you still are in front of these scouts. So regardless of what you say, you're in front of the scouts, so they're either gonna like you or not. And you were already offered a contract. I believe it was a year and a half ago. He was offered a contract, but he rejected it because he wanted starter money. So essentially, the man either wants to start or he doesn't want to play at all. And now he's gotten to the point where he doesn't want to play. He just wants the publicity. That's why an hour before he chose to change locations, and still people showed up. I think it was 8 teams still showed up to it. And then his main reason he said for it was he wanted his own camera crew, even though he'd get the raw footage. He wanted to have fans there. He wanted to make statements. He wanted to have a whole interview. And he went there wearing a Kuza Kente shirt. I mean, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's obvious what you're doing. He was the same guy who was wearing the cops or pigs socks, stuff like that. You're still. It shows you're still the same person. Which, right or wrong, is not what they wanted. It's a distraction to the team. I believe he was the same guy who was wearing the what was it? It was the Che Guevara shirt on the field, and then wondered why Miami wouldn't want to draft him. The place with the highest Cuban population, things like that. He's a huge distraction to teams, and yet still he was given every opportunity to succeed. I don't know what else he wants. If he truly wanted to play, but it's obvious he doesn't. It's obvious by the way he went about this whole thing. He just wants the exposure. He wanted to show off him playing, say, look, I'm good enough to play. Even the scouting report said he was good enough to play, at least as a backup, and no one ever doubted that he couldn't. Even after he got cut originally, people still thought he could probably play. But it's about being a distraction to your own team, a distraction to the fans, and not good for the culture of each team. Really, I don't know where he's going from now. I haven't seen any new Nike commercials or anything like that, or him in general speaking out. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's running up the end of his Nike deal, and he's trying to get himself out there to get re-upped or something like that. I personally don't watch regular TV. So maybe somebody can inform me. Are there a lot of Colin Kaepernick commercials out there still? Or is he giving interviews and all that? I still follow everything online, so you would think I would see that kind of stuff, but I don't. It's only now that he's coming back out and needing it seems like a boost to his name or something. I know he's been out there donating his time and some money to charities and stuff like that. So maybe he's trying to take a different direction that way, trying to get new deals, trying to get a brand deal because he's running short on cash. That's my only guesses because obviously he doesn't want to play. Like I said, I think whenever his last the last time he had talks with an NFL team, he wanted around $11 million, which is pretty high. I think the Saints backup quarterback was the highest paid in the league, makes $16 million, and he's a starter. He's a legitimate starter for other teams. That is the highest paid backup, and he makes more than most starters. And like I said, in the last couple of years, Colin Kaepernick was not playing up to that kind of standard money-wise. So he's being a little overzealous, I guess would be the word, for how much he could possibly make. So this is either somebody who's very high on himself and thinks that he can make a lot more money, but it's obvious after 3 years of holding out that no one's going to pay you that much, or it's somebody who doesn't want to play. Those are really your only options. I'd really like to see where this goes. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with the protests. There's nothing wrong with bringing up police brutality against people of color, things like that. There's nothing wrong with any of this stuff. But to say that the NFL was scared, which he did, they're scared to sign him. He's just a player, and no, he's just a distraction, is what it is now. If Colin Kaepernick left it outside of the field, no one would care, and some people still wouldn't. It's just that he's trying to use his name and the interviews he has in the NFL for politics, and a lot of people just aren't with that. There's no reason you can't protest. There's no reason you can't say these things in an interview. But when you make everything about that and you make it about your brand, I think is the biggest thing, is what people care about. It turns a lot of people off. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I didn't really give you guys a definitive answer here. There's not really a black or white thing to this. It's just like, maybe he wants to play. He probably doesn't. He probably just needs the money. He probably wants to use it for more outreach and to get his name out there, whether it's for personal gain or for, getting the word out, I guess, is to be seen. But I don't think it is. I don't really have an answer on anything else. I mean, who can except for him? We'll see where it goes. If I get any other updates on it, I'll let you know. But I don't think this man is going to be playing in the NFL anymore. And I hope to talk a little bit more football in the future. I enjoy it. It's always weird to see these other YouTube channels and podcasts and stuff and news stations who don't talk football or know anything about it talk about Colin Kaepernick and stuff. But I'm going to try and stay away from this kind of stuff if people don't like it. But that's my thoughts. Thank you.